Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger and my friends. Today we are talking about Lily in Street Fighter 6. I guess you can call this part of an ongoing series, as I was invited to the Capcom offices to try out Street Fighter 6 for a limited time. So of all the characters I played, Lily is probably the one I played the most. Not that I got a lot of time with her, but more than the other characters, and I feel like I've learned a lot, and I'm going to share that information with you. Now, this is by no means a full guide, just so you know. In the end, I still got like a little bit less than 20 minutes with the character. But this should be enough to arm you with some information and give you a bit of a head start on what the character is capable of leading into Street Fighter 6. So, what kind of character is Lily in the end? Well, she's basically an Omega version of what T-Hawk was in Street Fighter 4. She can do everything T-Hawk can do for the most part. Some things are changed a little bit. Basically expect some non-standard offense with some non-standard mobility, and of course, some really nice command grabs. So first, just in case you don't know, we do have to cover it, she is a stock-based character. She'll build a resource and then burn the resource, and that is the Condor Wind. The Condor Wind is basically a quick little buff, and when you do it, you'll build one wind-clad stock, and that is on the top right below her life bar. And every time you build a wind-clad stock, you can turbocharge one of your moves. In this example here, we'll go for just a quick hit confirm combo, and she'll go for her Condor Spire, and because she has the Condor Wind stocked up here, the Spire changes the move, it becomes multi-hitting, it does more damage, and it's just a better move all around. However, once it's used up, you've used up the stock, that's it, you gotta build new ones to keep charging up those moves and getting those enhanced properties. The medium and heavy versions of Condor Wind also come with an attack. And as long as the attack connects at all, and it can be blocked, you'll build up one stock. And Lily can have up to a maximum of 3 Condor Wind stocks at any given time. And as an FYI, the attack version has a lot of pushback on block, so as long as you don't do it basically point blank, it should be safe on block so we can build the stocks up that way. And one thing about the Condor Wind is you can hold down the button and it'll generate multiple stocks at the same time, and in pretty quick fashion overall. Like, here's the held version, and look how fast she goes from 0 to 3 stocks. So, Lily's a character you can't afford to let just do her thing. If you do, she can go from 0 to 3 right away, and then basically be a boss version of herself for a short amount of time, as all of her moves are going to be turbocharged. You can't let her get away with just freely building up the stocks. Now, as for burning the stocks, say moves like the Condor Dive. When she has a stock up, Condor Dive becomes a different animation, multi-hit does more damage. And if you aim it correctly with the buff, it becomes safe-ish on block. That'll be depending character to character on the matchup. Her uppercut, the Tomahawk Buster, same deal. Single hit, but with the buff up, it'll be multi-hitting, do more damage, all that kind of stuff. Also, it'll leave you with more advantage on wake up. You'll have a few more frames of advantage, so basically good times all around. Also, in the case of the uppercuts here, you can see I'm zoomed in on the frame data, it actually makes the uppercut start up faster. Regular heavy uppercut 10 frame startup. The Condor Wind boosted heavy uppercut is a startup of 8 frames, 2 frames faster. Interesting stuff. The main event, however, is buffed Condor Spire. As buffed Condor Spire starts up a little bit faster, and also it leaves you plus on block directly in front of the enemy. Now, granted, yes, it's only +1, which isn't a lot to be plus, but it's exactly enough to force the enemy to immediately guess, am I going to attack you or am I going to try to throw you? After blocking, if you attempt to either jump out or strike back, since Lily has a 4-frame move in her light kick, she'll always win and then get a combo. And if you're passive, well, then you get command grabbed and dunked on your head. So now speaking about the grabs, Lily's grab game overall I would say is second best compared to Zangief's. Zangief is number 1, but Zangief can't exactly fly across the screen either, can he? Light grabs have better range but do more damage, heavy grabs have more damage but less range, 28% if you land a heavy grab, and if you do say the EX grab, you get both the damage and the range, 29% damage, and also it has a good deal more range than the heavy grab. So at a decent distance away here, heavy grab would whiff, because of course it would. However, EX grab has the damage and has the range. So that's what you're spending those 2 bars on. And since Lily has easy access to plus frames with the Condor Wind mechanic thanks to Condor Spire, you're going to get grabbed quite a bit, I would say. Now, we have a lot more topics to cover. This video, hopefully I time-stamped everything. But one thing I want to call out specifically is the non-Condor Wind buffed version of Condor Spire. Because it works exactly like you think it should, like T-Hawk had in Street Fighter 4. If you space these correctly, you are advantage on block. People told me I was crazy because Condor Wind would cover everything, but no. Trust me on this, right? So, Light Spire, spaced out, +1 on block. So if you mash stand light kick, you'll always win if they mash back. Now, it is indeed all about the spacing. If your spacing is off, you won't be punishable, but you will be negative. You will lose your turn as you would, instead of gaining a turn back. And much the same say for the other buttons. Here's Medium Spire, hitting in the later active frames, +2 on block, and you can be more plus if you hit later in the active frames as well, but you only need at least +1, that's the idea, right? Just to enforce strike throw mix. And here's Heavy Spire, spaced out properly, wouldn't you know it, this is +3 now, right? Later in the active frames. And goes on and so forth with EX Spire as well. You can see me teabagging here because I'm quite pleased with myself at this moment. I was actually very vocal about this at the site at Capcom. This is a major skill set for T-Hawk if you are a T-Hawk player, and you will be rewarded if you have this skill set. So you don't always need Condor Wind to make things go with Lily. If you know how to space your Condor Spires, you will do very well for yourself. Just don't do it too close. And now just to show you a bunch of the normals here. So on the lights and mediums, I would say Lily has above average range, although when it comes to like bigger moves, not as much. Like stand heavy kick is a far cry from what T-Hawk had, which was like 30% of the screen in older Street Fighter games. Some standout buttons feel like stand and crouch medium punch because they got good range for what they are. Crouch heavy punch as well, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Back heavy punch I feel is a pretty good workhorse move, as it's a significantly frame advantage on hit. You don't need counter hits or whatever to go in combos with it, and has some pretty good range. The move is also special cancelable, so for a fairly good range poke to be special cancelable, that is extra handy. And it does go into the Condor Wind strike versions, the kind that hit, so that might be a go-to poke offense. One thing I found very interesting is they gave her M. Bison's hell attacks, so she can juggle you with medium in the air land, and then hit you again on the way back down. So if you happen to be good at reactionary anti-airs, you'll get a lot of damage out of that. They also gave Lily a command overhead here, down forward heavy punch. Seems to be pretty decent range, all things considered, and it's barely negative on block, so good tool, I guess. Why not try it? She also has a Rekka series, basically as a command normal set, so just forward heavy punch, heavy punch, heavy punch. So the first move is safe, the second hit's not as much, and the final hit is very not safe at all. It does deal a lot of drive gauge damage. The first hit alone deals half a bar, and it is special cancelable. So a move into a special, that can deal a lot of drive gauge damage. Okay, so I said I'd come back to Crouch Heavy Punch. So I like Crouch Heavy Punch a lot. At the base level, it's 2 hits, and it's special cancelable. So easy hit confirms, 10 frame startup, so pretty fast for what it is considering it's a heavy, right? If I see the hits, because it's 2 hits, oh, special cancel into whatever, let's go. It's handy. I like it. I like the simplicity. I like ease of use. I like easy hit confirms. I don't like having to work for anything, so I like that a lot. But this is what I really like. Since it is 2 hits, and I'm just waiting for the hit confirm, whether I get it or not, if I catch you for whatever reason doing a drive impact during it, it is the easiest thing in the world to react back and drive impact back on you. So if you're, for whatever reason, scared of just random drive impacts, Crouch Heavy Punch is going to be your best friend because it gives you all the time in the world to react if they just start mashing random drive impact at you. It's also barely negative on block, so easy hit confirms, barely negative on block, pretty fast, and very strong anti-drive impact if you catch them doing it. So pretty cool move all around in my books. And now just for some odds and ends here. So off EX Tomahawk Buster, they do let you cancel into the EX Condor Dive as a follow-up. It's very expensive, it takes 4 drive bars, but it is 25%, right? Tomahawk Busters are frame 1 anti-air invincible, so if you're just looking to close out a match, 25% is a pretty good way to do it. It's not like you can take your drive gauge with you to the next round anyways, so make them pay for that extra bad jump. On the Condor dive note, you can only do Condor dives from neutral and forward jumps. This is for regular and EX. So no jump back EX Condor dive, which is one of the things I was kind of hoping to do, but so be it. So only regular jumps, forward jumps can you do a Condor dive from. One thing I did find rather surprising is her level 2 super, you can actually do it while jumping. I don't think you can do it as a cross-up. This is me trying to do it as a cross-up, but that's pretty cool. So I'm certain there's going to be certain scenarios where you're going to be very happy that you can do a level 2 super in the air. Also, again with Condor Dive, you cannot cross up with Condor Dive. I tried. I wasted very valuable time I shouldn't have trying to test this out, but just so you know, so I'll save you your time when launch comes, you cannot cross up with Condor Dive, sadly. Lily cannot match T-Hawk in this regard. A thing to note here about Mexican Typhoon is, yes, all versions will knock you very far away from the enemy, so there's no Oki, there's no pressure, but since you're so far away, you're basically guaranteed a free Condor Wind. And actually, most knockdowns, seemingly with the frame advantage, you can always get a Condor Wind. Some of them you'll be a little disadvantaged, but for the most part, you're pretty safe in setting it up every time you knock down an enemy on most moves. They want you to build up those stacks after you knock the enemy down. So she's less pressure you on your wake up, more knock you down, get my thing, and then let's try to win neutral with my new supercharged moves. And since we have that section about properly spacing regular Condor Spires, so, if I see it, I'll just drive impact it. Well, about that. If you're predictive, you can drive impact it back. However, if you're reacting to it, for the most part, Lily's going to be able to land in time first and drive impact you back. So pay attention. It's going to be rough. If you're like top 1% of 1% reaction time, maybe you'll be able to get Light Spire on reaction. But for the most part, if you do it, she's going to land in time, drive impact you back, and bonk you in the head. Something fierce. It's definitely going to be something you're going to have to really pay attention for the matchup for sure. And finally, since I had a few minutes more with Lily than I did with the other characters, I even managed to figure out a setup. So off a basic hit confirm, just, like lights, go into light Tomahawk Buster, gives you exactly enough frame advantage on their wake up, go into heavy Spire, and when they land, you're +4 on block. Now, there's a lot of caveats here for sure, right? Like, I have no idea what happens if they back roll if you connect or not. For one, this is just on regular wake up, so who knows? If you do try to drive impact this, I will land in time and drive impact you back. So there you go. And yes, you can parry it, but if you do a regular parry, she's still +4 in your face. And yes, if you do a perfect parry, well, then you win. You'll be able to punish Lily for sure, guaranteed. But thankfully, if you are that god and you can always perfect parry it, I had already figured out a solution. So do medium Spire, purposely whiff, because it won't connect, and then, well, just chuck you while you're trying to parry. So that's totally a thing. It totally works out that way. Now, this whole setup, it probably loses the back roll, honestly. I don't know. I only had a very small amount of time, but just to show you, there's going to be all sorts of setups and all sorts of things to figure out for sure. And that's a bunch about Lily. Once again, I had less than 20 minutes with the character, so there's still so much more to be learned, but hopefully this will give you a good idea of what she's about. Some things I would like to bring up about the character, just in general though. Unlike T-Hawk, she does not seem to be good against projectiles as much. Like, yes, you can jump over a boom or whatever, EX Condor Dive, but the actual Condor Dive, EX or otherwise, is not projectile invincible. EX Condor Spire is not projectile invincible. So Lily might actually struggle against projectiles a bit, which is something I didn't really anticipate. Also, her uppercuts, her rising tomahawks. So Tomahawk is frame 1 anti-air invincible, so it stops jumps great. But on the ground, even the EX version is not regular invincible. As far as I can tell, she has no moves at all with any kind of strike invincibility either. Now, I absolutely could be wrong because I certainly didn't get to test every single thing, right? But as far as I can tell, her only defensive options are basically the universal ones that are granted to you in the game. So Lily seemingly has a lot of strong pressure options with Space Spires, and if you have Condor Wind, you don't even need the Space Spire, it's just always going to be plus. But she can't necessarily defend herself as well outside of burning Super Meter, because her level 1 super is invincible at the very least. So a lot of good and interesting things, although she's potentially not without her weaknesses. That all said though, Lily is the character I basically am overall anticipating the most in this game, and with my playtime with her, I'm very, very happy with what I saw. I think she's a really cool character and very fun, and that's the most important thing in the end. So that said, keep tuning into the channel over the next few days. We're going to have even more character previews, not guides, but previews like this one. And of course, check out some of the other videos we've done about Street Fighter 6 on the channel that's already there. Like and subscribe and all that stuff. And until then, well, I guess we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.